The late 1500s. A warm, stone-streeted city in Italy, Pisa. Here, in 1564, a child was born, curious and enthusiastic. His name was Galileo Galilei. His father was both a mathematician and a musician, while his mother was a quiet, patient woman. But Galileo was different from other children from the moment he was born. He had a different aura. He questioned everything. He thought about everything. One day, while walking to the market with his father, a church bell rang, and his ears perked up. Galileo was captivated by the bell's swing. "Why does it swing so regularly?" he asked. He didn't realize it at the time, but this curiosity would later change the way we measure time. Galileo grew up and became a young man. Everyone expected him to become either a doctor or a clergyman, but he was passionate about physics, nature, and motion. He was an extraordinary young man. At that time, everyone said, "Heavy objects fall faster than light ones." This was the word of Aristotle, the greatest authority of the time. But Galileo didn't believe it and took action. One morning, he climbed to the top of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. He had 2 balls in his hand, one large and one small. Below, a large crowd watched him with strange looks, and Galileo dropped both balls at the same time. Both hit the ground at the same time. The crowd was stunned. Galileo smiled. Because nature wrote its rules according to its own truth, not according to human belief. This was one of the first great steps of science and Galileo. 1609, Galileo learned of an invention in Holland that brought distant things closer: the telescope. He decided to make one himself, but he was no ordinary man. He had to do something extraordinary. He perfected the lens, sharpened the image, and finally built the world's most powerful telescope, because he was Galileo Galilei. It was on that night, when the stars were shining brightly and the moon was smiling down on him, that he turned his telescope toward the sky and changed the course of human history. First, he looked at the moon and saw that its surface, thought to be smooth, was covered with mountains and craters. Then he looked at Jupiter and noticed 4 small lights revolving around it. He called them the Medici stars, but they were actually Jupiter's moons. Then he looked at the sun and noticed spots on it. Most importantly, he observed the unimaginable phases of Venus, and all of this proved that Earth was not the center of the universe. But at that time, such ideas were dangerous. The church said that saying the world is moving was blasphemy, and he thought that was ridiculous. Galileo was simply stating what he saw and what was true. After years of research, in 1632 he wrote his most courageous work, Dialogue Concerning the 2 Chief World Systems. In the book, he clearly stated, "The earth revolves. The sun is at the center." These words caused a huge stir in Rome, and as a result, no one was left unaware. The church summoned Galileo to the Inquisition. They made him kneel and banned his books, but he could never silence the voice within him. Although he backed down before the judges, as he left the courtroom, he whispered, "Eppur si muove," and yet it moves. Galileo spent the rest of his life under house arrest. His eyesight gradually failed, but the child within him still saw the sky very clearly. One day he said to his student, "My eyes may be blind, but my mind still sees the stars." In 1642, at the age of 77, he breathed his last in a small house near Florence. That night, a star fell from the sky. But he did not die, because Galileo was the man who changed humanity's perspective. He broke the chains of science and shattered blind beliefs. He was a thinker who stood courageously where faith and curiosity collided. Today, every telescope, every space mission, every discovery of the heavens began in some way through Galileo's eyes, and he still whispers to us, "Do not be afraid." Question: because the universe opens its doors to those who wonder.